I knew I was going to cry in this, but I didn't think it was going to be so soon into the piece. You know, despite the fact that you rehearsed this introduction multiple times in the mirror before actually hitting record, now that it's actually happening, it feels really weird. And typically we like to write a letter to ourselves at the start of each year to open at the end of next year, but we thought that this year we might do something a little different. And by that I mean a little bit more additional, because you're still going to write a letter to yourself, but we're making a video to ourselves. So hello future-Jess, hello end of 2024 Jess, how is it going? Hopefully good. Hopefully you did a better job this time around of not letting Vlogmas burn you out. Every year we say like, oh yeah, we need to get ahead of it, we need to get planning in advance, and we do the planning in advance. That's usually done well. We don't necessarily film things in advance, so December is like, I don't want to say it's a clusterfuck, but like, we are so tired. We could nap for like a month, but that is not on the cards for right now. At the time of filming this is actually only halfway through December, so you still have a little bit more content to go, and given the fact that you're already feeling the effects of burnout, that's okay, you do have your break coming up, and we're looking forward to spending time with the family, just like having some intentional chill time. And that is something that you definitely need more of in 2024, so I hope that you prioritize that, but to try and make this a little less rambly, a little bit more coherent, we do have an order of things to talk about, and the first one is going to be what happened in 2023. By this point, 2023 ended like a year ago, so it's fine if you don't remember all of the things we're going to talk about, but it's nice to look back on the time that was and just remember some of the like good old days. It really wasn't that long ago. I mean, like, it was less long ago for me than it was for you, but anyway. To help yourself out, you've just got your 5-year journal. Hopefully you've been keeping up with it because you're feeling very accomplished at the moment for actually having it all filled in. But having a look at some of the highlights, you finished organizing your office, and then redid it about 10 months later. You got to see Scotty and Nathan get married, which was really awesome. Rachel got pregnant, and you were the first person she told. Mum and Dad bought their new house in New Zealand, and by the time you're watching this, they've probably moved back, so that's quite exciting. You took your first trip to the States, and you got to meet Erica in person, which was awesome, and you got to meet Mark in person, which was awesome. You got to meet a bunch of people in person, which was just awesome. You got more serious about your brand, even though you don't like to call it a brand. Just the general stuff that you're doing online under the banner of JashiiCorrin. You bit the bullet and decided that doing your own tax yourself was not the best use of your time, considering how damn complicated we all make it. So you did decide to join up with someone to do your tax for you, so that's good. And I hope you're still making choices that make your life just a little bit easier. You don't have to do everything yourself, but it's okay, we'll get to that. You got to have a bunch of fun events at your house, like the bookathon that you had with Rachel and Monica, which was the first time you invited Monica to a bookathon, so that was exciting. You hosted Rachel and Jason's baby shower in September. We had belated spooky night in November, and it was really fun to decorate your house for Halloween because you're very much the kind of person who either goes all in on decorations and wants to do like all of the stuff, or you just cop out and don't do anything at all. So it was nice to kind of strike a happy medium between those. Like, we still went a little more ham than other people would, but it was fun. You finally got around to doing the bullet journal basics series, and like halfway through that, you knew that you were just so sick and tired of it, but I'm really pleased that we got through it, we stuck to it, and now all of those resources are up on the channel, which is really valuable. Hopefully they're still proving to have payoff. You bought your first car, even though it wasn't technically for you, it was for your mum, but it felt kind of special to actually purchase a car, because previously Bogle has purchased them, they're like his, so that was exciting. And you made it onto the Archer and Oliver ambassador team for another term, which would either have wrapped up around March or September of 2024, depending on if you stayed for the whole year, but that was exciting too. We also celebrated our 11-year anniversary with Vogel, which was cool. And of course, just a bunch of other exciting things. I don't know how many times you've said exciting in this, but I hope you've been taking like a shot of water every single time, because that is a very good way to stay hydrated. Hopefully that is also something you're doing better with, but anywho. Of course, with all of the exciting and kind of accomplishment type things, there are also some not so great things that happened, mainly related to stress and burnout, which you're kind of becoming much more acutely aware of that you are probably suffering from. Also some conflicts that would have been nicer to have not happened, but they did. And also some other negative things that were beyond your control, but they still weighed on you a lot. A most recent exciting thing though was that you were asked to be small one's godmother, so that was exciting. Not that you really have to do anything for it seems, at least at this stage, but That's still pretty cool. We very much believe that the best part about looking back is being able to reflect and then take those learnings moving forward. So some of the things that you learnt this year were that you do need to rest. I know it's the kind of thing that you know, like you already know that rest is important. I mean, you preach it to everybody else, but that applies to you as well. Like, it's okay to take breaks, and it's okay to need to take breaks. You put a lot of pressure on yourself to be on all the time, and it's just not necessary. And it's the kind of thing that you know that nobody else expects that from you, so why do you expect it from yourself? One of the things that we're trying at the moment is, if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, then don't say it to yourself. And I think that should go into that kind of category as well. Like, you wouldn't expect your best friend to work themselves to the point of exhaustion, so why do you do that to you? This is not me trying to blame you or finger point, because we both know that that is not a super effective way to actually get things done, but you do need to keep reminding yourself that, like, it's okay to be a person, and it's okay to have needs. And taking the time to fulfill those needs is important as well. The funny thing about learnings is that a lot of the time they're things that we already know, we just don't really put them into practice. So you know that you can't pour from an empty cup, but it's been quite a long time since your cup was this empty, and sometimes things have to be really hard for you to actually pay attention and do something about them. Also, I'd be curious to know, do you still do the thing where you look to the left-hand side whenever you're kind of like feeling awkward or nervous about talking to something? Because we've been noticing that we do that a lot, and it's kind of funny. Another thing that we've learnt more about this year is how to have difficult conversations, either with ourselves or with other people. And while it is still something that we are very much practicing, you are getting better at it, so keep practicing. You can tell that this one's important because you're already tearing up about it, but one of the things you also learnt is you need to feel your feelings more. Like, we talk about feeling our feelings and how it's okay to feel our feelings, and again, it's one of those things that your rational brain knows, but you've noticed recently that anytime, like maybe you're listening to a song or a piece of media, and you feel that kind of rush of like, oh, I'm gonna cry, you suppress it. Like every single time. And the way that it feels in your body is like this kind of like crunching, tightening feeling around your esophagus, like in here. It's very strange. We do think though that if you have an awareness of something, you're more likely to be able to change that. So I do hope that now that you know that this is something that you do, we can start to think about ways to address that. It comes back to that idea of like, you're a person and you're allowed to be a person. It's this odd thing though, because I don't think it just stops with negative emotions. I don't think you really let yourself feel good ones that much either. Not to the extent that you're not allowed to be happy or anything like that. Like, you know, we have happy moments, of course, but I don't think you let yourself kind of relish in them and really fully embrace them. Does that make sense? I mean, you get what I mean. I'm talking to you, but still. I think it also comes back to the idea that you don't want to be seen as tooting your own horn, but sometimes it's okay to toot your own horn. Like, it's okay to want good things for yourself and be happy when good things do happen for yourself. And it's okay to get emotional when you say them out loud. Feeling your feelings. Another thing that we've learned this year that you kind of probably already knew, but it's a little bit more confirmed, is that there is a high chance that you are probably allergic to gluten and realistically shouldn't be eating as much bread as you are. It's this kind of balancing of the deliciousness of bread versus the after effects, and it's kind of starting to tip where the after effects are kind of outweighing the deliciousness, which is certainly something because bread is delicious. Now, as we've talked about learnings though, it's time to think about hopes. So this is very much more me telling you what I would have liked to have seen from this year and hoping that it actually happened. When you're watching this, you'll know if it actually happened, but you know, fingers crossed. Let's hope that in between Jess makes the right choices. My biggest hope for next year is that you're just taking better care of yourself. What we're doing right now is not sustainable. And while you know that, we really do need to put some actions into place to change our situation. This not only means accepting help from other people, but also just helping yourself. You know the choices that you need to make in terms of taking better care of yourself. It's just often you let other priorities, well, other things, be your priorities. Like, yes, I know that my body is tired now and I need to rest, but at the same time, I really need to get this video done. It's like, well, if the video comes out a day late, is that really that much of a problem? Like, in the grand scheme of things, no, not really. But making sure you don't put yourself into a sleep deficit is a pretty big deal. One of the things that this very much relates to is the idea of identity boxes. And these kind of like statements that you say about yourself that you don't necessarily believe them to be true, but you let your actions consistently align with them. All right, example. So for instance, I'm the person who always upsizes when I go get takeout. It's pretty much true. Every time you go get a takeout, you get a large. Even though you know that you don't really need a large. It's just this kind of thing that you've built into your kind of personality almost, that every time you go and get food out, you're gonna get the biggest option. And I don't know if it's like a scarcity mindset, like, oh, what if I, get the food and then it's small and then I don't feel like I've had enough to eat and then I have to pay for something else entirely. Or if it's literally just that like you've built this into the way that you are so much that now every time you take the action, it is always the upsize. This probably also comes along to the idea of never doing things in half measures. So it's like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna do a year-long challenge, but I'm gonna do it on like 3 different platforms instead of just focusing on one, or like, you get the idea. But this idea of like talking in absolutes with yourself so that then it's always gonna be that way rather than giving yourself like flexibility or room for growth. I know this feels very rambly, but you get what I mean, right? And it really makes you start to wonder about other things. So for instance, we've always been the kind of person who's like, ugh, I hate exercise, or ugh, I'm not a reader. Well, you proved yourself wrong this year. You are a reader, or at least you're becoming more of a reader. So what other things have you been telling yourself that are holding you back from experiencing more stuff or new stuff, or kind of just growing as a person? So this section being about your hopes, I hope that you have kind of dissolved some of those statements, maybe given them a little bit of an update so that then if you're going to say them to yourself anyway, they give you more room for growth, more room for change. Effectively just like don't let your self-talk hold you back from experiencing all that life has to offer. It kind of reminds me of the idea that like we always wear black, like everything in our closet is black, and we don't really have a lot of problems with that. But you do kind of wonder how much of it is because that when you were a teenager, you saw like some piece of media, like a TV show or whatever, that said black is slimming, and now you're like, oh, I have to wear black so that I look slimmer. But now you've been doing it for so long, it's just like part of your personality. I don't know. Not to say that you particularly want to wear other colours, but it's just a thought. I hope that you've been keeping up with trying new things in your planner to find a system that really works for you and the way your mind works. Talking about the way your mind works, I also hope that you've gone and gotten like tested for ADHD. Every time we talk to our doctor about it, they just keep saying, oh yeah, the wait list for a psychologist is really long. I'm like, that's fine, just put me on the wait list. Like, I don't mind waiting. It's one of those things that like we don't want to say that we have ADHD if we don't have a kind of formal diagnosis to back it up, even though a lot of the traits and tendencies of people with ADHD do seem to very much resonate with us. But then we wonder, is that just because we're like a distracted society right now, or is it because you have a genuine like brain thing going on? Maybe by this point you already know the answer to that, but that's something I hope for us. Stop crying. It's gonna be okay. Ew. Feel your feelings, feel your feelings. That's all I can think of for now, but anything that I've forgotten, I'll put in the typed letter that I'm gonna write on January 1st for you, so that's an exciting read that's coming up. Unless you've already read it, you snoop. And on the off chance that somebody who isn't future-Jess is watching this, I just want to let you know that my hopes for you are pretty much the same as my hopes for me. I hope that in 2024, you're doing things that are good for you too. I hope that you're giving yourself opportunities to rest. I hope that you're making choices that align with your values. I hope you're taking care of yourself, and I hope you're letting other people take care of you too. I'm hoping that you're letting yourself feel your feelings and having a cry if you need to. I hope that you're surrounding yourself with people who love and appreciate you for being you. And just know that I'm one of those people. Not just because you're part of this community, because I do love our community, but also because you're a person and you're worthy of love, whether that be from other people, but also from yourself. I hope you're extending yourself the same grace and kindness that you extend to other people. And all in all, I just hope that your 2024 is awesome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And until next time, bye.